St. Joseph's College for Women, Autonomous, Vishakhapatnam. Welcome to St. Joseph's open web-based learning platform, So Learn, for a soulful and enriching e-learning experience. Course Basics in Economics. Topic Meaning and Factors that Determine Demand by Dr. P. Ramanilata, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics, St. Joseph's College for Women, Vishakhapatnam. In this video, I am going to explain meaning and factors that determine demand. Let us see what is demand. In economic theory, demand means the desire to possess a commodity backed by purchasing power. So, demand means willingness and ability to purchase a commodity. For example, if a poor person has a desire to purchase a car, but he is not able to purchase a car because of his financial status. So, in this case, the desire to purchase a car is not considered as demand. So, finally, demand means the willingness and ability to purchase a commodity. Second, next concept is demand function. Demand function means it is a functional relationship between demand for X commodity and factors that determine demand. We can see dx is equal to f of px I pr t a. So any function has two variables. One is dependent variable, the other one is independent variable. So here dx is dependent variable because it depends on some other individual variables. Px, I, Pr, Ta, these are independent variables. Here dx refers to demand for the good x. Demand for the good x. And Px refers to price of good x. I, income of the individual. Pr, price of related goods. T, taste and preference of the individual consumer. A, advertising expenditure made by the producer of the commodity. So all these are independent variables which determine the demand for the product. Determinants of demand. Generally, the demand for a commodity is determined by many factors other than price. These are called non-price determinants. They are change in price of related goods, income of the consumer, taste and preference of the consumer, the number of consumers in the market, change in the propensity to consume, income distribution. Determinants of demand. First one, change in price of related goods. The demand for a particular good is also influenced by price of its related goods, particularly the substitutes and complementary goods. For example, an increase in the price of tea increases the demand for coffee. Tea and coffee are substitute goods. So, in case of substitute goods, there is a positive relation between price of tea and demand for coffee. In case of complementary goods like diesel and diesel car, that is, a rise in price of diesel may decreases the demand for diesel cars. So in this case, there is a negative relation between the price of the diesel and demand for diesel cars. Second one is income of the consumer. The demand for goods also depend on income of the consumer. Higher the income of the consumer, higher will be the demand for goods. Third determinant is taste and preference of the consumer. A change in taste and preferences of the consumer using a particular commodity will also have an influence on the quantity demanded. Fourth one, the number of consumers in the market. If The number of consumers for a particular good are more. The demand for that good will be higher and vice versa. Next one, changes in propensity to consume. When people are more in favor consumption, the demand for goods increases. If the people wish to save more, then their consumption will be lesser and thus demand for goods also decreases. Next determinant is income distribution. When demand is equally distributed in a society, propensity to consume will be greater. It means consumers demand more goods and services in an unequal distribution of income. Propensity to consume of poor will be more than the rich. Types of demand. Demand can be classified into different types based on the determinants of demand. One is demand based on the price of the good, demand based on the income of the consumer, demand based on the price of related goods or cross demand. So demand is classified on the basis of price, on the basis of income and on the basis of related goods or cross demand. Price demand means this type of demand in economics is known as law of demand. The law of demand states that there exists an inverse relationship between the price of a good and the quantity demanded when other factors remaining unchanged. So price demand means nothing but law of demand. So law of demand states that there is an inverse relationship between the price of the commodity and quantity demanded. Whenever there is an increase in the price, it leads to decrease the quantity demanded. Whenever there is a fall in the price, it leads to increase the demand of the commodity. So that is price demand. Income demand. Income demand explains the relationship between consumers' income and quantity demanded of a commodity, assuming other factors remaining the same. Income demand means the quantity demanded of the commodity depends on the income of the consumer, assuming that other factors remaining the same. Other factors here are the price of the good, the price of the related goods, and the taste and preference of the consumer. So when there is no change in the price of the good, when there is no change in the price of related goods, and there is no change in the taste and preference of the consumer, then the quantity demanded of X commodity depends on the income of the consumer. Here table is given. In the first column, income of the consumer is taken, and in the second column, quantity demanded is taken. So income of the individual in rupees. So from the table it is understood that whenever there is an increase in the income from 1000 to 2000, 2000 to 4000 and 6000, there is an increase in the quantity demanded from 10 to 30, 30 to 50, 50 to 60, like that. So there is a positive relation between the income of the consumer and quantity demanded of the commodity. Coming to the diagram, quantity demanded is taken on x-axis and income of the consumer is taken on y-axis. Coming to the shape of the demand curve, this is income demand curve. So the shape is from left to right, upward sloping. So this demand curve explains that there is a positive relation between the income of the consumer and quantity demanded. So when income of the consumer increases, he spend more income on superior goods. So this diagram explains that when income increases, the consumer spends more income on superior goods. That is that the quantity demanded is increasing here. Coming to the second diagram, it explains that when there is an increase in the income of the consumer spend less income on some goods like inferior goods. So whenever there is an increase in the income of the consumer, He spent less on some particular goods, those are called as inferior goods. Inferior goods means goods which has low price, less price. So, in case of inferior goods, the income demand curve is left to right downward sloping. Left to right downward sloping means there is a negative relation between the income of the consumer and the quantity demanded. When income increases, the quantity demanded decreases. When the income decreases, the quantity demanded increases. So they spend more on uh, superior goods and less on inferior goods. Cross demand. There are certain commodities whose demand depends not only on their prices but also on the prices of related goods. The relationship between goods is classified into two categories. Substitute goods, which means those goods which satisfies the same want and they are substitutable for one another. For example, tea and coffee. You can either go for tea or for coffee because it satisfies the same want. Another example is Pepsi and Coca-Cola. So both companies are producing cool drinks. You can either take Pepsi or you can go for Coca-Cola. These are substitute goods. Second one is complementary goods, which means two goods together satisfy a want. Two or more goods can satisfy a want, a single want. For example, sugar, tea powder, and milk. It satisfies your want of drinking a tea. From the diagram, it is understood that quantity demanded of X, that is T, is taken on X-axis and price of good Y, that is coffee, is taken on Y-axis. The price of coffee increases, then there is an increase in the quantity demanded. So there is a positive relation between the price of coffee and demand for tea. The shape of the demand curve is left to right upward sloping. So in case of substitute goods, the relation between the price of the coffee and quantity demanded of tea is positive, direct. Second diagram explains that in case of complementary goods, quantity demanded of X, that is petrol, is taken on X-axis. Price of Y, that is automobiles. You can take car, example, price of car. So when there is an increase in the price of car, it leads to decrease the quantity demanded of petrol. So in case of complementary goods, there is an inverse relation between the price of Y commodity and quantity demanded of X commodity. So this is cross demand. Thank you.